Here.
Heap. Henry.
Here.
Lockman.
Here.
Oldenettle.
Here.
Ruben DeCellis. Scott. Speed. Watts.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Mayor Ezer.
Here.
Attorney Beard.
Here.
Okay, so we had to move rooms, so we're in the big council chamber. First up, we're going to go ahead and do the swearing in, and then we're going to do the pinning ceremony and then get to Dr. Sheaf, Jacksonville Promise presentation, and that's when we'll move in the screen for your presentation. So with that, we don't, Angela's out this evening, our city clerk, but with us tonight, we have Deputy City Clerk Susan Thomas to be, you're gonna swear me in first, right?
Yep.
Okay, let's get it going.
Guess we go down here.
Bet.
I'll just come down.
That's perfect. Okay. No, you don't have to button. Raise your right hand. I, Andy Ezzard, having been elected as mayor of the city of Jacksonville, Illinois,
Having been elected as mayor for the city of Jacksonville, Illinois,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of mayor to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the office of mayor to the best of my ability. Okay. Haven't done this in a while. I state your name.
I, Susan Thomas,
Having been appointed as Deputy City Clerk
having been appointed as Deputy City Clerk
of the City of Jacksonville, Illinois,
of the city of Jacksonville, Illinois,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of office of Deputy City Clerk
the duties of office of Deputy City Clerk
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
All right, very good.
I got it. Okay, Beth? Okay, you ready? Okay. I state your name. Having been elected as city treasurer of the city of Jacksonville, Illinois, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of city treasurer to the best of my ability. Yay. Congratulations. Yeah. I state your name. Having been elected as Alderman, Ward 1 of the city of Jacksonville, Illinois, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Alderman Ward 1 to the best of my ability. I state your name. Having been elected as Alderman Ward 2 of the City of Jacksonville, Illinois, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Alderman Ward 2 to the best of my ability. I state your name. Having been elected as Alderman Ward 3 of the City of Jacksonville, Illinois, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Alderman Ward 3 to the best of my ability. I state your name. Having been elected as Alderman Ward 4 of the City of Jacksonville, Illinois, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Alderman Ward 4 to the best of my ability. I state your name. Having been elected as Alderman Ward 5 of the City of Jacksonville, Illinois, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and that I will faithfully, and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Alderman Ward 5 to the best of my ability.
Well, thanks everyone for sticking with us through that. That's very important, and this next pinning ceremony is very important too. And with us tonight, we have our, let's see, Chief Doug Thompson. Doug, you have some pins, right, for these guys and ladies?
Tonight we're going to be introducing to you now Sergeant Corey Foster. He has been with our agency for about 9 years now, and he was one of our FTOs for a while, and as short as we are, we're going to continue asking him to FTO just a little longer, even though we're going to be making him a sergeant. So if I could have Corey come up here And I believe his wife, Ashley, is going to be placing his badge on him for us. That works.
Okay.
All right. Congratulations. We'll shake all those hands, please. Thank you guys for coming too.
Okay, we won't tell anybody if you leave, okay? No one's watching. We understand. Thank you for coming tonight. And thank you for those that are remaining in audience. And we'll start the items. Second under the mayor's report is item number 2, presentation by Dr. Charles Sheaf regarding the Jacksonville Promise. And Dr. Sheaf and his wife will be passing out some stuff.
Okay, that's fine. We're just going to take a second and set the screen up. So thank you all for having me here tonight. This presentation had really a threefold purpose. I think I last gave a presentation at the City Council 7 years ago. And since that time, I think there are only two people, two aldermen in this room who have actually heard me talk about the promise, and everybody's new. So I wanted to introduce everybody in the City Council to the Jacksonville Promise and what it is, aside from being a $7,500 line item in your yearly budget. And so about 15 years ago, there was a committee that was formed in this town that examined the idea of a promise for Jacksonville. At that time, they were responding to a program that had been started in Kalamazoo, Michigan, the Kalamazoo Promise, where 7 anonymous donors pledged to pay for the entire tuition fees and books of any student that went to school in the Kalamazoo Public District. And that provoked a 10% increase in the town's population when people moved from all over the country, especially if they could work from home, and moved into Kalamazoo to take advantage of this tremendous economic benefit. And that program gave students free tuition books and fees anywhere they went in the state of Michigan. And that was a place-based program. It was not, all they had to do was graduate from high school with a grade point average of 2.0, and they were guaranteed a position in a school in Michigan as long as it was a not-for-profit or public school. Since then, a couple hundred promise programs have opened up in the United States. They have a variety of different qualifications to them, and a committee got together to think about the program, and it kind of floundered for 4 or 5 years, and then I came up with the idea that all we had to do was come to the City Council and say, give us a 1% sales tax, and we can pay for this program. And that didn't work because the school board beat me to the punch. So we just started collecting some money, and we had, it took us 2 years to raise $40,000, and we gave 17 scholarships of $1,000 a semester to 17 students. And since then, the program has grown. We've gotten more donors. I've written some grants, and we're up to a budget now of about $260,000 a year. Last year, we supported 99 students. We had 55 students that matriculated and started their first year with the Jacksonville Promise. Our program is slightly different than the Kalamazoo program. It is the same as theirs in that it's not based on financial need or rewarding academic excellence. It's a place-based scholarship program, which means that you have to live in Morgan County, and you have to have graduated from high school in Morgan County, and you have to have maintained a 2.0 GPA. It's a last dollar scholarship, which Kalamazoo's is not, which means that students must fill out a FAFSA application showing that they have applied for some other scholarships for college, and we will fill in the gap after they have had all of the other scholarships that they can possibly garner. They must actually fill out an application. If you go to Kalamazoo and you go to a college somewhere in the state of Michigan bills Kalamazoo, and they pay that college without the student ever having to think about an application. But we require a student to at least ask for this. And they have to stay locally. They have to go to either IC or Lincoln Land Community College. We think that that last part is very important. We instituted that in order to try to prevent a brain drain from this community. And the principle behind how the promise works, it's not really primarily about helping the students. It's primarily about improving the economy of Jacksonville. 15 years ago, Jacksonville had gone through a couple of decades of losing major industries. The poverty level was up to 40%, and the primary thing that brought the committee together was figuring out something that would provide an economic engine for Jacksonville and now the county of Morgan. So eligibility rests on where the students lived and graduated from high school and that they choose to go to college in the same area. And if even one student elects to do this who would not have otherwise done that, who otherwise would have left the area. One excess student will result in another student paying additional tuition and fees here, which goes into the economy, and eventually there's a 76% chance that they will enter the workforce here, and that will add to the economy, and that's a big deal. If General Motors brings in a factory and provides 1,000 jobs in this area, that's not going to provide 1,000 jobs. That's going to provide 5,000 jobs because there's an economic principle called the economic multiplier. And those jobs create income which the people spend locally for their haircuts and their gasoline and their groceries. And the gas station owners and the grocers get more income and they need more help. And when you get all done multiplying the number of times that money enters the circulation, it averages out usually to about 5 times. And that's an important principle in figuring out what the Jacksonville Promise is worth to Jacksonville. So here's some of the data that we use to figure out what the Jacksonville Promise is worth. Data shows that the average salary for a college graduate in year one is slightly over $50,000 these days. New money entering the economy brings a multiple effect of 5. So each student that enters our economy adds about $250,000 a year expansion to the economy of Morgan County. Illinois College provided me with data just prior to the pandemic or in the pandemic, and they looked at the number of students that were enrolling in Illinois College, and it had been about 21 students per year from 2010 to 2015, and that jumped to 28 per year in 2016 and averaged 28 a year for the next 5 years. The data got a little complicated when McMurray closed and Illinois College changed some of their curricula. I haven't rerun those numbers, but I'd be kind of interested to do that. The Alumni Association of Illinois College looked at students that actually were born and raised and went to high school in our educational district, and they looked at how many stayed in Morgan or Cass County, and that number was 76%. That was kind of a surprising number. We know nationally that if you look at students that finish their post-secondary education, 50% will stay within the economic basin of the college that they last were educated at. So 76% was a surprise, but the national data does not relate to students who were born, raised, and went to high school in that area. They only looked at the college that they finished at. So I guess this really shouldn't be a surprise that 76% stay there. We have looked at our data from the Jacksonville Promise at students that got Promise scholarships, and that stays exactly that. After finishing their program at LLCC or Illinois College, 76% stay in Morgan County. So this data supports analyzing the economic effect of the Jacksonville Promise, with 7 students being added per year to the college rolls at Illinois College, and 5 of those staying in the workforce. So we do achieve some expansion of the economy from the students who are actually in college. We actually had a program called RETAC out of Macomb look at the effect on the economy of the students at Illinois College. And they contribute about $50,000 a year to the economy, and then you can apply an economic multiplier to that. And part of their expansion is not only the tuition, books, and fees, but also they bring in probably about another $5,000 per student in terms of friends and relatives that come to visit them and attend Illinois College activities and games. So in year 10, which is this year, it's the 10th year since we have started or given our first fees for matriculating students. We currently have 4 years of additional students in college, and we have 6 years of graduates, all contributing to expansion. And the cumulative effect of this on the economy to date is about $85 million. This year, the contribution is about $14 million. And this will continue to be a growing effect as long as we are contributing to people who are entering the economic pool and expanding it. So we can figure maybe about 40 years from the first set of graduates, we'll start having a significant number of peoples retiring from their vocations in this area. And at that point, the program will quit growing. But at that point, it will be contributing, I haven't figured out exactly how much, but it'll be contributing a lot to the economy every year. So what does that do for the city council? It's just interesting to look at the budget of the city council. When I first started considering this, the budget of the council was $10 million. And 3 years later, it was up to $13.8 million. And last year, the city had revenues of $19.8 million, with sales tax and income tax representing $11.15 million of the revenue. In '25, the forecast is for revenues of $16.7 million, with sales tax and income tax representing $10 million. So I used these numbers to figure out percentage-wise what the Jacksonville Promise is contributing to the actual income of the city for their budget. And this year, the calculated effect on the city revenue of the Jacksonville Promise was $73,000 extra due to the economic expansion and the effect of the increased amount of sales tax that the city council collects each year. In addition to that, I looked at how much extra income tax allotment the promise adds to the economy, and to figure that out, there are 12,600 people employed in Morgan County, and the promise adds about 5 people per year to this pool, which they have done for 6 years. So what percentage of 12,600 is 30 jobs? And that is 0.0117. And you multiply that times the total amount of income tax revenue that the city gets, and that would be $29,250. So the sales tax revenue that I figured because typically about 35% of an individual's salary is spent on items subject to sales tax. So our cohort of 30 jobs will, with the economic multiplier, will be spending, they will have income of about $1.5 million, and as a percentage that's passed on to the city as increased revenue, it's going to be about $78,750. About 3% of the 7% sales tax here returns to the city, so I just took 3% of the total spending there. So the conclusion is that the line item donation to the promise is currently paying for itself. You're giving us about $7,500, and you are getting about $120,000 a year in increased revenue because of the promise. In the next 30 years, every year it's going to increase a little bit more as we add more people to the job pool. Now in Kalamazoo, where they fund everything, they noticed a number of social effects of a promise. And if we had a promise that paid all of a person's tuition, books, and fees, we could expect increased academic achievement as early as first grade. You would have indigent families who would be telling their kids now, you can't afford to go to college, we can't afford those kinds of tuition and fees. But that goes away when tuition and fees are zero. And you start having students interested in academic performance and thinking about college as early as first grade. You end up with decreased truancy, decreased behavioral classroom problems, decreased crime, increased college enrollment, increased college graduation, increased property values, increased population, and increased school financial stability. So where are we now? Originally, the committee set a goal that they would like to see a Jacksonville Promise pay for a Pell Grant, or the equivalent of a Pell Grant for every student. And that would be for years 1 and 2 in college, and then at years 3 and 4, they wanted to make that a Pell Grant plus 40%. Well, a Pell Grant these days is about $7,000. We are currently up to paying $3,000 a year for the first 2 years and $4,200 a year for the last 2 years. So we're about 45% of the way to our original goal. My dream is to see the award of 100% of tuition, books, and fees, because obviously this leads to increased school, community, and student financial health, and all of the social benefits I listed on the preceding slide. So why should the city contribute more to the promise? How should the city look at the promise? Should you look at it as a charity? If you look at it as a charity, you'd probably have to think about funding all the charities that come to ask you for money. And that's probably not appropriate for the city council to do that. As a stimulus program, well, certainly industries that come and ask you for some sort of stimulus to get started or some sort of stimulus to build their business, maybe some kind of tax abatement and so on, those are things that you ought to consider, especially if they have some kind of return on investment. Is it an investment for the city? Is expanding the economic health of the community something that the city needs to be a part of? My ask is that the city contemplate its return on investment and what degree of investment they would like, and contemplate what kind of production they're going to get, what kind of yield from expanding their investment in the promise. I would suggest that if you passed a 0.3% sales tax, you would produce enough revenue to fund 100% of tuition, books, and fees for 4 years for all of our promise recipients. And that would lead to a 10% expansion in population, perhaps it did in Kalamazoo, and all of the social benefits that previously were itemized. And it would expand city revenue by an additional 10%. Option 2 that you might consider might be to figure out how much revenue is being generated for the city council each year and give us back half of it. It will take us a longer time to get to our goal, but every year we have expanded over the last 10 years, and there's no reason to consider that we won't continue to expand if we continue to get some help along the way. And with that presentation, I'd like to field some questions.
What types of occupation are these students going into in the Morgan County area that you're talking about?
Yeah, so we haven't really looked at what each student has done. You know, the reason nationally that students stay within the economic basin of the college that they're at is that they tend to find summer jobs with corporations, especially corporations that are in their areas. And they tend to establish these connections and then are offered jobs after they finish college. Students here, some of them establish their own businesses. They become entrepreneurial. And I've been very gratified to see the rabbi here recently encouraging entrepreneurs and establishing investment vehicles to support entrepreneurial efforts. I can't tell you what all the industries are that students go into, but certainly there are a variety of businesses in the Jacksonville area. I know as I presented this originally 10 years ago, the most common critique that I got was that Jacksonville has a dying economy. Students can't find jobs here. They're not going to stay here. It doesn't matter, you know, what you do, you're not going to be able to keep them. The data shows otherwise. 76% of Illinois college graduates who stayed here, who lived here, who have relatives here, who graduated from high school here, they stay here. They find a way to stay here. So, does that help?
Well, I'm just kind of looking at the population is decreasing in Jacksonville, so if they're all staying, why are we?
Well, the population can stay, but the fact that we're capturing our brain trust with this program, you may say the population decreased 10%, and I'll tell you that we are nevertheless keeping 7 more students a year than we were prior to 2016. So if the promise were not in place, we would have lost $86 million more in economy.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
So I wasn't here when this was first, created, Jacksonville Promise, although I followed it over the years. So you mentioned that one of your goals was to basically keep graduates sort of local, captive, no, captive might not be the right word, but localized, right?
Right.
So this differs significantly from the original Kalamazoo promise in that they were offering tuition anywhere in Michigan.
That's
up to
correct.
Up to the flagship university. And that was what drew people into town to settle, with the hope that in time their kids would be able to go to school for free.
Right.
So if, and obviously this is not before the council, but if, for instance, you got a large cash infusion, would you ever consider changing that thrust, that direction of just keeping people local?
I don't know. Keeping people local is what makes it an economic engine. If you don't let them stay local, we don't have any piece of paper that they sign that they have to stay local. There's no quid pro quo in this program. It's just that
I'm just
The-
curious because the benefits that accrued to Kalamazoo were because people knew that they had a statewide option. So basically, you were driving the economy from the front end rather than the back end.
Right, right. And they did find huge social benefits in terms of, academic achievement and performance and so on. And they did have an immediate 10% increase in the town's population. That was not persistent. That was a one-time deal to increase the town's population at first. And I don't think that they have had the same kind of economic engine to the economy that we are having here. It's sort of interesting because our financial award is nowhere near what theirs is. We tried doing a survey of the students, and we had a lot of students that said that the Jacksonville Promise was a factor in their staying locally, but it wasn't the only factor. Of course, for most of these students, it's family, friends, and so on. But sometimes it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, and they end up staying. I think the mayor may remember when I gave a presentation about 3 years into this, and one of the local town residents, Jamie Martin, had stated on Facebook that his daughter would not have stayed in Jacksonville if it weren't for the Jacksonville Promise. And I think I said that for me was an epiphany, that a small award like that could actually change a student's mind about staying locally. And that meant maybe it was already an economic engine, and that's when I went out and found this other data that suggested that it is.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Dr. Sheaf. Appreciate it. Mrs. Sheaf? Okay, moving on. Item number 3 under the mayor's report. Discuss accepting proposal for a matching fund contribution to the Jacksonville Area Museum. And this was brought to our attention, 2 months ago maybe, by Rabbi Rob and Warren Thomas. You have it in front of you. It's a resolution accepting the proposal where they will contribute, Rabbi Rob and Warren will contribute 50% of the operating budget each year, and the city will contribute 50%, and that's of $15,000. And that's for the next 3 years. So the first year is we split it 50%. The second year is the city will be on the hook for 60%, and the third year it'll be 75%, with the fourth year the city. And right now that figure is around $15,000. So how about a motion on this tonight?
How about a question?
All right. Yes, Don.
So at the end of the 4-year period, the city of Jacksonville will take over 100% of the operating budget. Does that mean we're going to own that building?
Potentially, yeah.
So what do we do when other organizations come to us and say, we can't make our maintenance, apparently this is for maintenance, right? This grant?
It's for operating. And what you say is probably this committee is a Jacksonville, City of Jacksonville committee, which is a little different than some of the other requests that we get. Years ago, 30-plus years ago, we gave this committee the job to do exactly what they're doing right now, and that's to open up a museum. You can like a museum or not, but they're at that point, and they need the city's help. So if, at the very least, we need to do is pass this. It gives us a little time to negotiate, but really, I don't see any negotiation. I think that that should be a city museum, and we should take it on. Year 4 with the help. I trust those people over there. They've got good donors. They know what they're doing. It's a group effort, and obviously, if it comes to a tie, I will be voting in favor of the museum tonight. But ask questions away, because I probably don't know the answers, but we have some folks in here that probably do.
I guess one of the other questions I have is several meetings back when we were kind of discussing this, I asked about inspection of the building, if by chance we are going to take this building over. And in particular, the heating system, the plumbing, the roof, any other maintenance that goes on with that building. The last inspection that I know of this building was in '21. Is it possible before we do this that we can get an inspection of that building? Because we're going to end up taking this building over.
I don't think by passing this resolution tonight, we're not taking this building over. But if that's more comfortable, yeah, Eric, I'm sorry.
Was I mistaken, or did Rabbi Rob talk about the fact that the trustee, their process was going to be taking care of any big major ticket items? The only thing that they're asking is the help with the $15,000 of just running it. But any structural stuff, the trustees are all on board on getting the funds to take care of those things. So the city really wouldn't be on the hook for that. That would be the trustees.
Yeah, but to answer your question, Don, and this is just me, in my eyes, 2021, a report on a building is not too far away. I mean, I don't think we have reports on city building every year. And 21, I mean, there's people that have been working in that building for years, and they keep working. Well, if it was such a structural, I don't think these folks would keep moving and building that museum to what it is and what it can become, you know, if it's in disarray right now. I have not been in there. I know Nick's here. You know, we joke about buildings when they're built a long time ago. They're built properly and they're going to stay around. Well, this one's one of those. And I know, listen, I don't want to take on any more expense either, but this group is a city group. It's like the plan commissions. It's like the cemetery board. The city of Jacksonville created it for this purpose, and we're at that point where we need to really help them. That's my opinion. And I'll keep my mouth shut so you guys can go.
So on the, may I?
Yeah.
So on the resolution that we received tonight, it talks about it being the operations budget. So would replacing a roof fall under operations? No. So, so the max this year, I guess I would feel more comfortable if I would say, after year 1, 7,500, after year 2, 40% of the 15,000. If it was laid out, because it does say in the top, the operating expenditure not to exceed $15,000. But does that mean $15,000 in year 1?
It does.
So, but to me, it sounds like if it would feel better if we laid out what the maximum was in each of the 3 years. We don't have this in our budget right now, do we?
Yeah, we got.
We've designated how much money.
We have not designated $7,500 for the museum in our budget in 2025, but we do have money in our
Right, so you're saying $7,500, but as it reads now, it could be up to $15,000, right?
No, the maximum that would be paid in a combination of Rabbi Rob and Lauren and the city pursuant to this is $15,000 split 50-50 that first year.
Okay,
The language about not to exceed $15,000 applies to each of those 4 years.
they do,
They do.
okay.
And that's clear from what our conversations with Rabbi Rob have been.
But then in year 4 and beyond, it would only be $15,000. And we're gonna make this a line item in our budget to be $15,000. Or do you think it's gonna be,
We don't necessarily have to make it a line item in the budget, but as long as we know that it's going to be budgeted, we can put it in capital improvement, we can put it in something else, but we don't, I know doing this is years ago, but I don't think the auditors don't like, and correct me, they don't like us adding a bunch of lines each year. So, we've got the money. I mean,
I know we have the money, but we also have lots and lots
there's a
of,
lot, you're gonna hear a couple tonight,
there's
probably.
a lot that's
And
coming
it's
before the council.
unfortunate that there is a lot.
Right,
I mean, there's a lot all in this town, there's a lot coming at us. It's unfortunate, but if we don't start checking some of these boxes off, it's going to just always be a lot, and we gotta start trimming that down. And if we don't wanna get in that business, then you gotta let Rob and Lauren know that we don't wanna do it.
I think it's kind of a no-brainer. If all the artifacts are city property, which is the way they explained it a month ago. So if we don't do this and it closes, we're responsible for housing all these artifacts, which is not gonna be free. And we have to do something with it. The city created this, and as far as the building goes, they've been doing engineered projects there for the last 4 or 5 years, but engineers aren't gonna say, yeah, put a new air handler on the roof for free on that check. They would do that. I feel like that means the building is sound, and don't have a problem with the city taking the building. But I think it's expenses that are coming regardless, and right now we have a way to get some of that paid for. I think it's a good opportunity.
assuming we would move forward with this, would there be a way to say, that in year 3, that they do have a final inspection? I mean, cause if everything gets kicked down the road on year 5, I mean,
See, I look at it different, I don't think we're kicking it down the road. I mean, we're
I mean, if the museum has some major expenditures. Oh, let's just wait.
I figure when you present the city would benefit, and got the insurance that covers that, the stuff on that. Their fundraising is going to take care of replacement, everything that needs to be done. That's what,
But we're not for certain, at year 4, what is in excess of $15,000 is gonna be?
The,
I would expect that at the end of year 4, the operating is probably gonna go up a little bit by half. At that point, if you don't
Probably.
wanna do it, then you close it. Decide what to do and it's your building. Sell it, lease it, do whatever you decide you wanna do it.
but you brought up a point earlier, we're still gonna need a place to store all
You're right, everything that's in
I mean,
there
it's-
belongs to the city, the way I
that.
see it.
Yes.
But it's been stored before.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yes.
been stored at a
I
house on
understand.
Hardin, at Illinois School for the Deaf. It's been some creative
Farm
storage
station.
opportunities, but,
I hate to see it stored, I hate to
you know,
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is historic artifacts that have to be in a kind of a climate-controlled environment anyway. So just backtracking a little bit, my understanding is maintenance is, or operating expenses, we're basically talking about utilities and insurance, right? So there's no, you know, there's no presumption that we're gonna have to tuck point the whole thing or anything like that anyway, right? It's just a basic maintenance to keep it open and make sure that the historical artifacts are in a climate-controlled environment and that they can keep the doors open and continue to serve the community, right? Yes. Okay, thanks.
Chief, you might be able to, sorry, Don, you might be able to answer this. If we don't have it as a line item, how do we track it, or we're just gonna leave it open? So right now, different entities have to come forward and request money from us. So will this just be kinda open in 5 years, or, cause you said we wouldn't have a line item?
Jacksonville Promise,
don't know
don't
how
we have a
it'll
line
work in
item
5
for
years.
Jacksonville Promise?
Huh?
Do we have a line item for Jacksonville Promise?
Yes, you do.
So
Okay,
why,
okay, we'll do it however way you guys wanna do it then. We'll just leave it that way. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I'll leave that up for Sue and the clerk's office to figure out the paperwork and how we.
I just think you just need to create a line item, so that every year, if there's any increases, you'll know how to increase all of
Okay.
it. We won't be hit at the last moment saying, okay, it's $25,000 this year. I just think we just need a line item for it.
So, that last line, year 4 and beyond, the city of Jacksonville will take over 100% of the operating budget, and would you like to include not to exceed $15,000 right there too? I mean, we got it earlier. You want it 15? I mean, we're doing it right now, so.
I mean, I feel like that's a really good starting point for today. We don't know what 5 years is gonna look like. So if we were to approve it today, $15,000 for the next 4 years, obviously, they would have the ability to come and ask the council for more money. This isn't gonna do it for us because we've already expect there to be increases.
Yeah, I think that'd be totally acceptable.
Okay.
Put in there $15,000,
Not to exceed,
not to exceed, yes.
separate line item, okay. Any other questions? I would ask the clerk to please call roll. Oh, yeah, motion. Please. Anybody?
Somebody?
Brett?
I'm sorry, we're still in workshop.
Oh, yeah,
We'll wait till
Well,
next
there we
meeting.
go.
We wanna get
See,
this
you get me
done.
worked up for nothing. It's all Don Cook's fault anyway. Well, while I'm worked up, here's another one. Number 4 under the mayor's report, discuss unhoused camping ordinance. You don't want me to talk what I said and try to duplicate what I said at the last meeting. I know there's a new audience, so I'll just keep my mouth shut on this one, but we do, you know, it's, obviously, we know that the past year we've seen a lot more uptick on homelessness, and probably before that. What I'm saying is, I didn't research this, so it's probably been on the rise a while, probably the last 4 to 5 years and further. But, you know, our friends from Jacksonville Main Street have taken the time, their committee has put a camping ordinance together, very similar to what the village did as far as them curbing homelessness, as far as camping and having personal items on public property. And thus, you've received there's no decisions tonight. However, I felt that we really need, if we don't discuss it fully tonight, which is fine, you really need to go home and think this through. Talk to, you know, folks that are in the field like some are in here, good folks that know or versed what they talk about. They're on board to help out. You know, it's not just going to be, I think we view this is not just a city government issue. This is everybody's issue. A lot of organizations will be involved if we hit this homelessness situation in the head right on. We have to work collectively. That's the only way it's gonna work. So with that, you know, right now, we've been in contact after the last meeting that we talked about. I know we're dealing with the ordinance right now, but we've been in contact. Brian and I met with Jada, and I forget your name. It's close to Jada, isn't it? Jade, see? Close, okay. We've worked with them, very good, you know, meetings. We've worked with others. We've met. We're just kind of learning. I don't know anything about homelessness besides, you know, what I see, and, you know, we all know Josh, right? I mean, we joke about that, but we all know Josh. Josh frequents City Hall. I know Josh, and there's a lot of other Joshes. But we have to get our handle on this. This is a good first step. If we choose to go this direction, we can curtail it to any way we want to go, but it's something that's very important, I think, to all of us, and for the folks that showed up that have been doing this for many, many years, too. Questions on that ordinance?
Mayor, I don't have a question, but I did have the opportunity to read through it in its entirety, and I thought it was really well put together. I feel like they addressed a lot of the things that we've been hearing from our constituents and things that we've been discussing as a council. So as you say, if we're all in, I mean, I definitely feel like this ordinance would cover a lot of the issues that we're seeing throughout the community. And I would want to ask the chief of police, it would seem that we're giving him the tools that he needs in order for his officers to do the things that they need to do. So the one question that I had was just about the fines. Is there other, I feel like that's the only thing right now that, that we're using for leverage. Would there be other things, or other ways besides finances to leverage the ordinance?
We've thought about that a lot of times in internal talks on, you know, even just as simple as property maintenance issues. If you don't have the money to clean up your property or get it fixed, so we're throwing more fuel on the fire by creating a fine, and that's a tough slope. And you know, let's be honest, if that takes place with homelessness, these folks don't have any means to pay a fine. You know, I think the chief would say it's a manpower issue. I mean, I'm sure there's ways to do it without fines, but it would take manpowers to have them do other alternatives in lieu of a fine. But I don't know. I don't know that question, Lori.
So Mayor, I have a
Yeah.
little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah, please.
I'm fully on board with the fact that something needs to be done, but I'm a little worried that this ordinance is basically trying to criminalize homelessness and certain kinds of poverty without sufficient resources in the community to help people who are homeless, or at least get them off the street. I know that's a chronic issue. It sure isn't just Jacksonville. I know that probably not everybody, but there's a certain, you know, some people just would like to make it so unpleasant to be here and be poor that people just leave. And I understand that that's a perspective that some business people might have. And I really would like to address it, because what worries me is I don't think it's going to eliminate homelessness in the town. And I think depending on which way the economy goes, we're apt to see more people in straitened circumstances, and it's just going to drive people underground. So if there's anybody here who could address that concern that I have, I would really appreciate it.
We've got a lot of folks in the room. Yeah, I know. Who'd you want, Brian? I can't hear. Jaden? Oh, I know David. Hi, David. I mean, I don't want to, yeah, Jada, come on. I just want the council and everyone to know that this is kind of two-part. I mean, the ordinance is separate from kind of what Jada and Jade are doing and others in the community. They're looking at the long-term solution of helping with homelessness, where this ordinance kind of, you know, gets us going in a direction. Is that, Jada, you have any?
Yes, of course.
Thing to add to that, please?
I did want to add to this ordinance,
Yeah.
maybe an alternative idea. It's something I read about. It needs to be further explored. There's definitely some cons. There's pros, where after an unhoused person has been arrested for, you know, maybe being out in public where they shouldn't be, doing whatever that is, that they have like 3 chances to kind of get themselves together, and after that they're court ordered to get into services. So whether that be doing like addiction services, mental health services, meeting with a financial counselor, it's something that I believe they're doing in a state or a county in California. I just read about it today. I think it has potential, so maybe that's something that can be looked into with this ordinance, so we're not just kind of shuffling around the problem to the outer edges of town where we're not going to see them as much. And I know Josh never pays his fines, so we can just keep fining them. They're not going to pay them. But that's really all I had to say.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Any, any other questions for anybody? This is discussion again. Yeah, Dave, you want to?
I don't know exactly how many people there are that are homeless.
Right.
I came here late because we had a guy that showed up who had serious mental health issues and was not able to stay at our shelter. And so he could not stay, but we had another guy that showed up, just got out of a program, just trying to get himself back on his feet. But with housing needs, the housing costs in Jacksonville are so high. They're asking someone to address those, assistance programs for people who are trying to get into housing. Employment opportunities are pretty limited, especially for people who have any kind of criminal background. So people who have addiction problems, those kinds of things, are finding it really hard to get a job. And even harder to find housing, because right now, housing authority is still not taking applications, and they're probably not going to for a couple more months. I just think you criminalize being homeless without some kind of alternative plan for these people. All you're doing is making it harder for them to get back on their feet, to get into housing, to find employment. So if you just say, we're gonna make this a crime right now, then, well, what can we do later on down the road to help you? That's kind of like the cart before the horse. You gotta be able to help these people, and then if they continue to do these things, maybe criminalize it or something. There has to be something more compassionate than making it illegal.
Mr. Mayor, have we ever considered community service as, say you're staying in the shelter one night, the next day you do a couple hours community service? I know, I'm just brainstorming, I know it's gonna take a lot of manpower. We're not gonna get any money out of these folks, but we can get something of value from them. That could be help cleaning up the town brook, it could be working at one of the Jacksonville agro centers, whatever it might be. But it seems to me that we have, folks who probably want to do something, they know they can't pay. I don't know if a judge would ever hand that down as a sentence, as part of their, sentencings, but I don't know, just a thought that that is something tangible that could come about what we're doing for them, that they would do back for us.
Do we get into a liability issue or something like that there?
You can, but we've had those types of programs in the past, and at times, especially Parks and Lakes Department, it's worked pretty well. We always, when we go into a program like that, we'll check with our insurance carrier, explain what's going on, make sure that we're covered for any of that type of program that we implement.
So the municipal court for ordinance violations does offer community service. They prorate the fine to so many hours. So
And that's how this violation would start. It would be a city ordinance violation, which would go in this room in front of Judge Jackson.
I like the community service idea, and there's a need for it. I mean, I'm in Lions Club, and for Earth Day, we spent 1 hour, just 1 hour, cleaning up around the library, and there was so much trash. And I mean, that's true all over town. It's just a fact of life. Not that people are dirtier, but just that there are a lot of things that, you know, they could be put to good use. The other thing I wanted to bring up too is so my friends and loved ones who are in the educational community tell me that they know of students whose families are in situations where they are basically living out of their cars. And I'm with David, you know, I think that criminalizing before providing an outlet services for people or a means for people who just don't have the resources, you know, to live with dignity, it's putting the cart before the horse. And I want to make sure that nobody in Jacksonville, and especially not school-age kids, are in this situation where maybe their parents are being criminalized for being broke.
Rob?
My name's Rob Thomas. I live in Ward 1. I've been homeless. It sucks. It's horrible. It's not like camping. It's not fun. It's not anything. If you make an ordinance, I'm absolutely opposed to this. I respect everybody's opinions and I appreciate it, but you're literally making it a crime because you have nowhere else to go. At the age of 10, I had nowhere to go. I was on my own. My father lived here. My mother turned me out. Okay? I'm fine with it. I accept how it was. But I'm telling you right now, I stayed any place I could get shelter, I could get food, I could get anything I want. The other problem that hasn't been said yet, and I've talked this over with Aaron in Ward 1, it's became a problem now because Square sees it. The second that you start pushing these people off the square, they're going to go into the wards, they're going to go into the houses. And where do you think they're probably going to go first? They're not going to go to Ward 5. They're going to go down to Ward 1 because it's the easiest. So I apologize for my tone, but I think that the city of Jacksonville right now is being tone deaf. I think this is there is no good solution to homelessness. I get it. You're not going to legislate it into it. But helping out David, helping out Jada and Jay do things, then it becomes an issue of a city problem. Then it becomes an issue of this is the problem we have right now. So I implore you not to do this. I think this is a bad idea. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob. Any other discussion?
I'm a little worried about taking their things away. That was in there. I mean, if that's all they have, maybe they have to leave it, but is there somewhere where they could leave it where it'd be okay? Say they have to go to a job interview, or, because a lot of places don't want you to take a whole bunch of things like that in, and taking away their only shelter or their clothes or any belongings they have and keeping them or selling them, that's just pouring more salt into the wound, and that's just horrible. But
Well, I don't think we'd have, if we pass the ordinance, then that creates this problem. But right now, we're not at that problem where they can leave stuff, I think. I mean, you're right. I mean, they're gonna have to work that out on their own if everything goes with what we want, but this is just discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be interested in hearing what the chief of police might have to say about any of this, or if he has any thoughts or other directions.
I've talked with the mayor about it before. I spoke with Brian about it. We've been having some emails. I think I've spoken with the city attorney as well. I'm not opposed to anything. I have to work at the will of you all.
Any other discussion on this evening? Okay. So you know your homework assignment. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Jade, sorry. Go right ahead, sir.
Hi. So me and Jada talked about when we first started looking at this and had the meeting with you, we talked about sleep pods. It would eliminate the, like, needing a location immediately, like a building immediately. We would still need a location, but it would give people a place to stay. You know, we could set it up where they have like lockers and everything like that. So, you know, that might be an option as well we can look at. And that would kind of help, like, essentially give them a place, you know, so we're not absolutely outlawing it, but we're, you know, kind of,
Right.
you know, helping them while helping the city. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well,
Yeah, we need to go into regular session, then come back to these items.
Yeah.
So.
so for, this could be a time if you want to leave. Nah, you gotta stay. Anyway, what we have to do now is, we're late from the workshop meeting. Usually you get an hour. Well, we've gone a little bit over, so we're gonna stop the workshop. We are going to call roll for the regular meeting and do the Pledge of Allegiance and all that. And we'll go into regular meeting, continue the workshop items, and then vote on the regular stuff. Does that make sense? So right now, Dan's gonna have a lengty no, I'm joking. So, thanks for coming, but if you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Safety first.
Okay. City Attorney's Report. Or wait, we gotta go with roll call. Man, this is really messed up today. And I would ask Deputy Clerk Thomas to please call roll.
Cook,
Here.
Heap,
Here.
Henry,
Here.
Lockman,
Here.
Oldenettle,
Here.
Ruben DeCellis,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Speed,
Here.
Watts,
Here.
Williams,
Here.
Mayor Ezzard,
Here.
City Attorney Beard.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there a reading of the minutes this evening?
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes as circulated.
Alderman Large Oldenettle, seconded by Alderman Cook. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Petitions tonight?
No petitions,
No.
no communication.
And the claims are in the hands of the alderman. Is there a motion to pay claims this evening? Alderman Lockman, second by Alderman Ruben DeCellis. All those in favor of paying claims, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And City Attorney's Report.
Thank you. Just have the one item concerning a change in the alcohol ordinance, and that is reducing one classification, adding a second classification for Goose's Pub and Eatery. They're moving to a restaurant classification from a bar or tavern classification. Any questions on that?
Seeing none? move on. Thank you. Committee reports tonight, one I've been waiting for. Finance, IT, and personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one item tonight is to discuss approving a revolving loan fund application to 18 West Morton Avenue from Marcy Patterson and Kathleen Mann, doing business as X and O's Donuts and Bakery. And Beth, I take care of that.
So we have an application from X's and O's Donuts and Bakery. They're going to purchase the donut shop and do some upgrade and expansion. The loan request is for $25,000 as their gap financing. We have a current balance in the economic loan fund of $184,000. So we do have the financing, and the committee recommends going forward with the loan. Any questions?
Any questions?
Okay.
Excellent. Okay. Planning and Public Works, Alderman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 4 items. The first is discuss waiving bids and accepting proposal for the demolition of 1010 North Clay Avenue and 514 East Lafayette Avenue. The low bid for North Clay was Premier Waste Solutions at $8,968. And the low bid for 514 East Lafayette was from Shireman Farms for $8,200. Any questions on those? Right, the next is discuss request to rezone property located at 2275 West Morton Avenue from B4 to M1. That is for a new building to be built out at JMI. Any questions on that one? The next is discuss request to rezone property located at 306 North Westgate Avenue from B1 to B1 with special use, with a potential owner wanting to put a shop in one half of the duplex and live in the other. This one would be with the emergency clause because it is holding up the closing of the property. Any questions on that one? And the last item is discuss vacating an unnamed alley located between 419 East Douglas Avenue and 415 East Douglas Avenue.
That's the one that the request was made to you a couple of meetings ago, and neither the chief of police or the fire department have any concerns with vacating that alley.
Very good. Public Protection, Alderman Speed.
We have two items tonight, Mr. Mayor. The first one discussing Jacksonville Fire Department surplus property, and Chief Summers is here.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Back with some creative financing once again. We have an older rescue truck, 2008 model, and 2 older trailers that are from 2001 and older. We're looking to sell all 3 of these items, surplus them, and I will come back to you with the final purchases. 2 main purchases. One is for our rescue airbags that we use to lift vehicles off of people when they're trapped under vehicles or heavy items. And the second being a larger rescue trailer. We can combine both our hazmat and our technical rescue equipment all into one new trailer. If we keep the old trailers, it's difficult to pull 2 trailers with the amount of manpower and trucks we have, but also just the maintenance, the upkeep, the tires, the bearings, everything that needs to be maintenanced. The new trailers aren't that expensive, so I think we can get a decent amount out of the old truck and those old trailers. Should we go ahead?
And our second item is discussing hiring 1 probationary holdsman for the Jacksonville Fire Department.
Yes, and I just want to thank you all again for the work we've done this last year. Again, we completed our written test last week and our physical test the week before, and we are at 40 qualified applicants right now on our list. That is the best we've seen in almost a decade, so that's really great news. I think we have a lot of really highly qualified applicants, and we'll know more when the interviews are done here in the next few weeks, and we have a final list posted, so thank you for that. That's successful. That's the most success we've seen in a really long time. What I'm asking is just Dan and I were discussing this. I guess it's a variance or a one-time approval from what the current ordinance is. We have been down by 3 almost a year now because we sent 4 to academy last year and 3 were unable to complete the academy. So that left us down because we ran out of people on the list. We hired 1 new. We need 2 more just to get back to staff. And excuse me, the next academy is September. So if we send 2 to academy and 1 fails out, we're back shorthanded again. So you've already approved 2 more hires. I'm asking for 1 extra. The other thing is, I do believe we will likely see somebody retire in the next 12 to 18 months. So by the time this new hire gets through training, we're going to be right back where we started. It'll just help give a boost after all the overtime and the shortages we've seen this last year. Also the money, if you all received the email I sent out a few days ago, I think the money we've saved, even though we spent a lot in overtime, we've saved a lot on the wages line item as well. So I think my belief, and talking to my assistant, we believe it'll fit in the budget this year. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, our chief. Utility, Alderman Watts.
We have 2 items tonight. The first is discuss waiving bids and accepting the proposal from Roland Trucking and Construction for the service line inventory potholing project. Their bid came in at $40,996, and we have a grant for $80,000 to do that. So we have plenty of money. Does anybody have any questions on that? The second item is discuss change order number 3 with Plucker Construction Company regarding the wastewater treatment plant improvements phase 1 headworks project. And this is a pipe that was cracked, and they're going to work to get that repaired while they're in the process of doing the whole project. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Watts. Any public comment at this time? I believe we have some public comment. Janine, Linda, no public comment. Okay. Well, we will adjourn, and we'll move on down. Mayor's report, there are 6. Now, let's see, can we bunch these? No. Not really, okay. Item number 1 is the reappointment of Jenny Barker Devine to the Governor's Duncan Association, term to expire May 1st, 2028. And is there a motion for this? Alderman Scott, second by Alderman Large Holdnettle. All those in favor of selecting Ms. Barker Devine, please respond by saying yes.
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 Opposed? Reappointment of Kevin Heights to the Fireman's Pension Board of Trustees, term to expire May 10th, 2028. Is there a motion for Mr. Heights? Alderman Scott, second by Alderman Large Oldnettle. All those in favor of reappointing Kevin Heights to the fire pension, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Number 3, reappointment of Sir Brian Nyberg to the Policeman's Pension Board. Term to expire May 13th, 2027. Is there a motion for, seeing no motion on Brian Nyberg? Wow. Alderman DeSellis, second by Alderman Lockman. All those in favor of Brian, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4 is the appointment of Kathy Elliott to the Cemetery Board of Managers, term to expire January 1st, 2027. Is there a motion for Miss Elliott? Alderman Scott, second by Alderman Watts. All those in favor of approving Miss Elliott to the Cemetery Board, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 5 is the appointment of Amberly Kane to the Historic Preservation Commission, term to expire December 1st, 2025. And is there a motion for Ms. Kane? Alderman Scott, second by Alderman Watts. All those in favor of Amberly Kane to the Historic Preservation Commission, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And item number 6 is a resolution accepting proposal for a matching fund contribution to the Jacksonville Area Museum. And is there a motion? Alderman Williams, second by Alderman Scott.
Be resolved to assist the Jacksonville Museum, the city does accept the proposal of Rabbi Rob and Lauren Thomas to share the cost of the operating expenses of the museum over the next 4 years. First year will be 50% of the operating budget, and the city will contribute 50%. City's contribution, second year will be 60%, 75% in the third year, and the fourth year will take over the operating budget each year and going forward not to exceed $15 million.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Cook,
Yes.
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Lockman,
Yes.
Oldenettle,
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis.
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Speed,
Yes.
Watts. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, City Council. City Attorney's report.
Thank you. We have first reading of an ordinance amending chapter 13, the alcoholic beverages, reducing the total tavern licenses by 1 and adding 1 restaurant license, just a change in classification for Goose's Pub and Eatery.
Is there a motion? Alderman Scott, second by Alderman Henry.
Be it ordained that the chapter 3, the alcoholic beverages ordinance be amended to provide for 1 additional restaurant license and dropping 1 tavern license.
Any discussion?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Teresa.
What facilitates that to be changed?
The they want to, they're more of a restaurant than a bar, and they would like their servers to be 18, where right now they're classified as a bar and they have to be 21.
And
Yeah.
to make it as a restaurant, they have to show a certain percentage of food sales or sales other than alcohol to make up their revenues.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. And I would have the deputy clerk please call roll.
Cook,
Yes.
Heap,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Lockman,
Yes.
Oldenettle. Ruben DeSellis.
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Speed,
Yes.
Watts. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. City clerk's report this evening.
Okay, in your packets, there's the city treasurer's wait a minute, the community development report, the cash receipts report, and the budget report and revenue analysis report, if you have any questions.
Thank you. Now, any public comment? Brad?
I want to speak again about the housing ordinance.
Absolutely.
I think the council should be commended, I think, for taking up this topic. It really is important. It touches on the health and the safety and well-being of our city and our residents. I do think it's important to realize just what this ordinance does. In my view, it's really tailored to regulation of public space. I think that is exactly what this council, should do and does at the very heart of what it does. You have, designated space for driving, designated space for parking, designated space for camping, and this is an attempt to say this space is reserved for this activity. It's not to say that it's illegal to be homeless or illegal to be poor, and it's certainly reasonable for the council to say we want to designate space for storage of personal property or designate space for sleeping or resting. I think that's a perfectly appropriate decision for the council to make, but it's, there are incompatible uses sometimes. So just like it's appropriate to start a campfire at the Jacksonville Public Campgrounds, but inappropriate to start a campfire in this space right here. And so I think that's what we're dealing with, and I think it's important to separate those issues. And I do commend the council for taking on this difficult issue. It will be multifaceted. There's got to be lots of private-public partnerships, I think, to really solve it. But I think that you're to be commended for thinking about it and talking about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. Any other public comment at this time? Consent agenda items tonight. Finance, IT, and personnel. Alderman Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 4 items tonight. The first is the city treasurer report for March 31st, 2025. The second one is a resolution authorizing payments from the Capital Improvement Fund for certain improvement projects. The third one is a resolution authorizing payments from the general fund for services rendered. And the final one is a resolution approving applications for loan and authorizing economic development loan from the city of Jacksonville revolving loan fund, 218 West Morton Avenue. Marcy Patterson, Kathleen Mann doing business, X and O's Donuts and Bakery.
Planning and Public Works, Alderman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one item. It's the resolution authorizing waiver of advertisement for bids and accepting proposal for the demolition of 1010 North Clay Avenue and 514 East Lafayette Avenue.
And Public Protection, Alderman Speed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 2 items. Resolution declaring 2 Jacksonville Fire Department trailers and 1 truck as a surplus property and authorizing a manner of sales. The second item, motion requesting the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners to hire 1 probationary hostman to the Jacksonville Fire Department.
And Utility, Alderman Watts.
We have 5 items tonight. Number 1 is resolution authorizing the waiver of advertisement for bids and accepting proposal from Nolan Trucking and Construction for the service on inventory potholing project. Number 2, resolution approving change order number 3 with Copper Construction Company, Inc. regarding the wastewater treatment plant improvement phase 1 network project. Number 3, resolution authorizing partial payment estimate number 21 of Copper Construction Company for the wastewater treatment plant phase 1 improvement network project. Number 4, resolution authorizing partial pay estimate number 1 to LW Roland Trucking Service Inc. for water main replacement at Richard Street from South First Street to South West Street and South Wagner Street at the Township Crossing. And number 5, resolution authorizing payment from the Waterworks and Sewage Project Fund for City Treasurer Maintenance Project.
Is there a second? Alderman Cook. You've heard the items under the consent agenda this evening. Is there any you wish to pull for further discussion?
Could we pull number 4, please?
Yeah. Number 4. So, got it. Okay. Any others? Seeing none, I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Cook.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Lockman.
Yes.
Oldenettle.
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Speed.
Yes.
Watts. And Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Committee reports this evening. Planning and Public Works, Alderman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 3 items. The first being the first reading of an ordinance amending the Jacksonville zoning map for property located at 2275 West Morton Avenue from B4 to M1, and I so move.
Is there a second? Alderman Watts.
Be it ordained that the Jacksonville zoning map for the property at 2275 West Morton Avenue be amended, changing the use classification from B4 to M1 Light Industrial District.
Any discussion? I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Cook.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Lockman.
Yes.
Oldenettle.
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Speed.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
And Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Second item is the first reading of an ordinance with emergency clause, amending the Jacksonville zoning map for property located at 306 North Westgate Avenue from B1 to B1 with special use. And I so move on the emergency clause.
Is there a second for the emergency clause? Alderman Henry? And I would ask the clerk to call roll on the emergency clause.
Cook.
Yes.
Hannet. Oh, Heath. Yes. Sorry. Henry.
Yes.
Lockman.
Yes.
Oldenettle.
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Speed.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now we have the second reading of an ordinance with emergency clause amending the Jacksonville zoning map for property located at 306 North Westgate Avenue from B1 to B1 with special use, and I so move.
Is there a second? Alderman Watts?
Be it ordained that the Jacksonville zoning map for the property located at 306 North Westgate Avenue be amended, changing the use classification from B1 to B1 with special use neighborhood business district.
Discussion? I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Cook.
Yes.
Heap.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Lockman.
Yes.
Oldenettle.
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Speed.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The third item is the first reading of an ordinance vacating an unnamed alley located between 419 East Douglas Avenue and 415 East Douglas Avenue, and I so move.
Is there a second? Alderman Williams?
Be it ordained that an unnamed alley lying between lots 2 and 3 of Bibb's second addition to the city of Jacksonville is hereby vacated.
Discussion? I would ask the deputy clerk to please call roll.
Cook.
Yes.
Heap.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Lockman.
Yes.
Oldenettle.
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Speed.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
And Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Any old business this evening? Oh, yeah, utility number 4. Thank you, Dan. That's, Alderman Watts, will you read that again?
Yes. We have one item, resolution authorizing partial payment estimate number 1 to LW Lewis Trucking Service Inc. for water main replacements, Richard Street from South Church Street to Southwest Street and Diamond Street at Town Road Crossing.
Is there a second for that? Alderman Scott?
Be resolved that resolution authorizing partial pay estimate number 1 to LW Roland Trucking Services for water main replacements.
Discussion?
Yeah, so I just actually had a question or point of clarification possibly. So it's been a while back, but there was some discussion that if we were replacing roads, so I know this is a water main, is it under the road? So we'll be getting a new road? Is that right? So at one time, we talked about every time we put in a new road, we'd also make sure that we included curbs, new curbs on those roads as well. If this is actually a curbed road, I'm not sure. It's not a curbed road, it's an alleyed? So can you repeat that, please? Can you repeat that, please? Okay. The curbs were as well? Awesome. Thank you very much for that clarification.
Very good. Any other discussion? I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Cook.
Yes.
Heap.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Lockman.
Yes.
Oldenettle.
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Speed.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good. Any old business? Any new business? Teresa, you gonna stay with us? Huh?
I'd like to thank the Academy.
Congratulations. Any other new business? Huh? Oh,
Linda in the back.
Linda.
Good evening, all.
We're here from the Jacksonville Food Center. We just want to get back on record for our request. We appreciate the $10,000 that you gave us back in November. However, I don't know if you've seen the article that came out in the Illinois Times about food programs in the USDA. Everything, funding is being cut more and more and more. We were in dire straits back in October and November with the holidays coming. We are there again. We are serving more and more people every day. You've all received a packet with the letter and the stats. One thing that I included this time that wasn't before is our treasurer's report for April, which gives you just last month's snap of what's going on with the year-to-date. And keep in mind, our year-to-date started October. We go October through September. So they are pretty substantial numbers. We only brought in $8,700 last month, and I spent over $16,000 in food just to keep us going. It's a challenge every month. We do get assistance from Illinois, or Central Illinois Food Bank in Springfield. However, I don't get to pick those items or the quantity. Some of that stuff is very usable, very appreciated, but when you're getting cases of hazelnuts and pecans and chickpeas, people don't want those. They don't go very far. We do require a lot of information, I feel, for families that we assist with what we call food boxes, which is where our money goes, and it all stays locally. It's all purchased from Aldi's. So we're keeping Aldi's in business. However, we're just depleting funds every month that we had to cover the extra that we need to spend. So we just got the postal food drive. It's great, but it's already going out the door, and I just got it Saturday. So,
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just going to point out this last page shows the annual cost and the 6 months in our current fiscal year. We have already spent $614,000 as opposed to a whole year last year of $906,000. So we are getting more and more numbers in. Food is continuing to climb in price. So we're just still getting hit with this double whammy. Then we also know that the current captain of the Salvation Army is retiring or is moving at the end of June. And we think that probably it'll take the new captain a while to get up to speed to whatever he wants to do. So we will probably be feeding all of Morgan County and Jacksonville's homeless. But our president is cutting assistance for food for people. Yeah, where's the front page on that? Okay. Well, I like the front page, though. I mean, I think it's very cool. A loss for Illinois farmers and food banks, okay? And it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna hurt. Now, I know that we just come to you with our handout, but this is for our people, our people. We also, this goes hand in hand with homeless. Homeless people cannot get a food box, but they come in and they get a lunch. How many a day? About 12 to 14 people a day come and get a lunch. They can get some things that they can carry in a bag and get some water and, yeah, we're seeing it at the food center.
Well, and to be clear, the lunches that the homeless receive, it's no cost that we spend. That is lunch meat from either Walmart, Hy-Vee, or Dollar General that comes in. All of those things do not cost us. It's stuff that comes in from the stores that donate to us, so I'm not spending money to feed the homeless. Our food boxes is what goes to the majority of the county, but we do feed the homeless, but it's at no cost.
One day in 2 hours, we had 50 boxes go out. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And we have produce too. we're getting a lot of, support from Hy-Vee, aren't we?
Hy-Vee and Walmart and
So
Dollar General. and
we're getting a
Aldi's.
lot more in, because we were encouraged to do this last time we were here. And so we have done, that's true, that's true. We do need to step it up. City can't pay for everything, but city can help its people. And city will, I know. I know Andy's got a big heart for the people. And, if we can help them get on their feet and, you know, be working citizens, then that's what we'd like to keep them that way. How many children do we have?
464 just last month.
Yeah. So if you want to just take this and study it some more, what we're asking is for the permanent line item, for an annual stipend for the Jacksonville Area Food Center, which actually serves all of Macon County, or Morgan
Morgan.
County.
Is the ask still the same?
Yes.
50,000?
Well, since we got 10 in November, I dropped it to the 90,000 because originally we were asking for 100. So I did take that into account and went to the 90,000. And we understand that's huge. Trust me, I
We know that.
understand that.
We
But
know
I
that.
am spending upwards of probably $6,000 a month to Aldi's. And that's just in the food cost.
Come and see us. Come and watch what goes on. Andy's been there several times.
Lori stopped in.
Lori stopped in. Yeah, Lori's been there.
So.
Yeah, just
And-
come and see us. We're in our new place.
And these numbers happen Monday through Friday from 9 to 11:30. That's the only time that we are open to serve the community with the food.
Any questions?
I have a couple. On page 4 of the handout that you gave us,
I'm sorry, page 4.
page 4, second to last page, unless I'm reading this incorrectly, are you indicating that year-to-date you've collected $221,000, and you've expended $136,000?
Oh, hold on.
Page 4.
Are you
next to
talking
the
the
last?
treasurer's report?
Treasurer's report.
Okay. What's the question again?
So if I'm reading it right, and I may not be, I'm gonna make sure I'm not looking at like millions or anything here. Donations to date, is it 220,
That is the total.
right? And then your expenditures are 136,000?
Yes.
Oh, no, there's a number off there. Sorry, that
Because
should
that
only
would be
be
a profit of 84,000.
correct, and that is not it.
That total is incorrect.
Yeah, the top number is wrong. I'm so sorry, but no. This should be 27,000. I can't write that. Sorry, that top number should be that 0 goes away. It should be 27,000, I'm sorry.
But our expenditures
Right
are
here.
136,000 for 6 months.
And on,
Okay.
and on your last page, when you talk about the fiscal budget, October 24 through September 2025,
Yes,
I noticed that your actuals are omitted from this handout. Essentially, your treasurer's report would potentially be what you have on your fiscal budget, but I'm just kind of curious where you are with that. It would be interesting to see that actually filled in.
We will do that.
well, I can't do that until the end of the year. Ours runs
We could do
October to
6 months.
September.
Year-to-date, yeah.
Yeah, I
The
could do a
year-to-date,
year-to-date
yeah.
for you.
Because then you'd
Is
be
in the
potentially
incorrect
at
form.
50%, you'd potentially be
Sorry.
then at 50%. Then you would potentially be at whatever 50% of your
Correct.
budgetary goals are.
Correct.
And I know there's been several fundraisers since the last time. I believe the
We still
Kiwanis.
don't know about the .5 yet. They
I
haven't
don't know
told us
about
what they
.5
raised
until
yet.
this
Well,
week.
Well, I'm a Kiwanian and I know that that's coming.
Right, it
and,
comes Thursday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
I just don't know what that amount is yet.
yeah.
So, and a lot of the donations that we've been receiving are basically food, which is great.
Right.
But again, it goes out and I'm trying to replenish as I go. I have no backstock right now.
Marcy, did you lead that committee? 7,000. So that should help a bit.
Yes, it will help. it will cover part of my deficit for last month. So, yeah, and I mean, this month isn't looking hot either. I mean, we're 13 days in and I brought in $2,200.
I think one of the things, and I don't want to speak for you, Alderman Cook, but one of the things that we always bring up for all the organizations that come forward is, we really want to know what you're doing, what type of fundraising you're doing. I know that may not be a part of your working board, but I know that's a question that always comes up, like what grants are you writing? How successful are you being with that?
And in your request, they're in there. There's the Fox grant, there's 2 of them.
Do you have others outlying right now, and how much are they?
I don't have any out there right now because nobody responds right now. Their usual stand is wait and see. Right now, there's nothing. The only thing that I currently have is a grant to Dorothy's Market. They gave that to me for $13,000, and that's where all our meat comes from. I go over there at least once a week, buying hot dogs and little pizzas and those types of things that go into the food box. So, but right now, there's some I can't apply for until June. So, but I'm always looking. I mean, if you've got anything, shoot me an email with the link, and that's where I'm at.
We represent you to the community, so, and, so we're just here wanting again to just establish a line item that's regular, because I don't think it's going away.
Any other questions?
Don? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Alderman Cook, second by Alderman Williams. Yeah. Oh.
Am I new business, old business, what?
Oh, you're,
I'm patiently waiting.
public comment, Janine.
Okay.
You're more than welcome.
Because I know everybody wants to go home. I'll be short and
Yeah.
sweet. Okay.
Yeah, please.
I'm so sorry, but it's important to the kids.
Yeah.
I'm Janine from the Little Red Wagon and the Little Blue Wagon. My new best day. I am here seeking an educational exemption for Rooster Cogburn. So all of the STEM projects that we do at the daycare all have to go full circle. I put the bunnies upside down. We have boy bunnies and girl bunnies. Bob the bunny is the daddy bunny. We start every year fresh and we do the entire life cycles of the bunnies. We also do that with the chickens. And I don't know if you can see, but we go from mommy to egg to incubator to the candle process to see if there's actually little bitty ones in the eggs, and all the way to the little chickens that come out. And Rooster Cogburn is an important part of that process, and it is absolutely an educational process. I can't tell you how, I mean, somewhere here, see, they actually get to hold and do the entire process. I cannot do that without Rooster Cogburn or my male bunnies. I am very big about following the process of the law. You were so gracious to let us have our therapy ponies, and they are amazing. We made sure they were every bit of the extension from the neighboring houses. We're not trying to break a rule here, but without Rooster Cogburn, we cannot have baby chickens and hatch and do the entire process. So I'm respectfully requesting an educational exemption just for Rooster Cogburn for this purpose. I don't want to breed chicken eggs. I don't want to do any of the above. We're not running a bunny farm. I mean, our process is simply so that the kids who don't have the basis for knowing where the eggs in the grocery store come from or where baby bunnies come from, we go through the entire thing. And we currently have 6 bunnies on property at each location. And the kids take them out, they hold them, they play with them, they love on them. We do the same with the
what Janine's referring to, we have a city ordinance that says no roosters in the city limits. So that's what she's wanting an exemption for. Go ahead.
Lots and lots of educational pamphlets that tell you how important this whole educational process is to the kids.
I have a quick question. I had a rooster living in my neighborhood for a very short time.
I understand there are others in town, I just want mine for this.
Well, he's not there anymore, but they are pretty noisy at all hours of the day, and they do disrupt people's living, sleeping, and that. So my question is, what would you do to help control that noise?
Mr. Cochran stays inside his little shed. I mean, he has full reign of the yard. I own the property, how many feet to the left of it, like a city block. And I now own the house to the right of it. So the next neighbor is very far away. I will not lie to you though and tell you he does not crow when I come in the morning.
He's crowing before that too, I'm sure.
Is there any way you would look at ways to quiet them? Please nobody laugh, but there are such thing as chicken chokers that roosters, whenever they want to crow, there's a special sack that fills up for the crowing. And I helped get chickens in Jacksonville. Yeah. But that prevents them from crowing. It's just not, it doesn't harm them. It just,
So counter question, it's more a noise thing than
yeah.
a breeding thing? Of course. Hey, I will give you my phone number and my email before I leave. You send me the link to pick one of those up and I absolutely will. If that's what it takes to keep Rooster Cogburn and get my educational exemption so I'm not in trouble with the city.
Do you have the rooster now on your property?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And have you gotten complaints?
Well, maybe the mayor can step in here. The lady, it wasn't me. The lady that calls me from the box.
That's how this is driven usually, when it's a complaint driven and we have, it's against the ordinance, so.
And forgive me, but I think I only have till the 20-something before the city attorney slaps me.
Well, he won't slap you, yeah, you got so many, I don't know how Brian, she's aware that she has so many days not to do it, or?
I got a letter. Do you remember the date on the letter?
It was last week.
No, I promise. I haven't broken a rule. I'm not that person.
It was in the last 2 weeks.
And no, I promise. It's between now and the end of the month. You're doing my homework.
No, I mean, I think he's referring to the letter.
When the guy showed up and
Was a couple weeks ago.
But I have a date to meet with somebody.
the letter came after it,
Yeah.
The letter. Not, you don't meet with me or Dan. It's basically, I don't know how to.
It's a violation of ordinance unless the city council says it's not, and then we have to allow them everywhere.
Not unless they're doing I want an educational exemption.
There's no such thing on our books as an educational exemption. So if we're even gonna go that direction, that's where we'd have to start, getting some recommendation from the Plans Commission to grant an educational exemption. And that's something I've never heard of before. Have you got anything to show where this has ever worked anyplace else?
I'll do the research. This is really important.
She's gonna get a rooster choking collar.
I promise, I'll bring it to you.
And there's nothing that you can do on this tonight except for on the agenda, you can't take action on anything. So that's something you can consider. And give direction to Brian or me or somebody. As to what we're gonna do with this.
Take it in and dress it up like a rooster.
May I make a comment? I think you could probably get eggs that are already fertilized, and I could provide you with the names of some people that would do that for you. I'm just making a comment. I,
it's against the city ordinance. I don't have the authority to tell you you can do it. Like Dan said, you'd have to go through the proper chain. I don't, am I missing something? I mean,
Sounds like what you're asking is for us to craft something in our ordinance that gives an exemption for educational roosters, educational exemption for roosters. And that doesn't happen tonight. We can look into it and see what we figure out with that. But I'm trying to picture in my mind how we do this in such a fashion that anyone else who wants to have an educational rooster doesn't have one as well. And we've already fought a battle with a support rooster, which I think we finally, yeah.
huh?
An emotional support rooster we've had to deal with, so. Directly what you
So
want me
you
to
guys,
do.
yeah, yeah. I wasn't involved. Janine, I don't know what to tell you. I'm lost for words here because I would say you can't have the rooster. I mean, I can't give you the authority. I'm not saying Brian's guys are gonna come grab the rooster tomorrow, but any. Yeah. We are adjourned.